So what if you'd like to add somebody to the title of your real estate with you? What are some of the things that you should consider and how should you go about doing this? Well, I figured this would be a good video to shoot to talk about title and what it takes. So first of all, you'd go about adding an individual or individuals to your real estate by drafting a new deed. Now remember, a deed is a written instrument that conveys or transfers title to real estate. Now, prior to drafting your new deed, you have to take into consideration how you want to hold title. You're going to be creating what's called a concurrent tenancy. That means that title is going to be held in more than one person. And make sure that you check out some of my prior videos that are included in the description of this video. The links will be there. Now, what are the different types of concurrent tenancies in general? There are basically four. And the question that you want to primarily ask yourself is whether you want to have a right of survivorship included in the title of your property. A right of survivorship basically means that if you should pass away, the surviving title holders would receive your interest in the real estate by operational law. There would be no necessity of probate. So the first concurrent tenancy, just briefly, would be a tenancy by the entirety. And in this instance, you'd need to be married to the other person, and there would be a right of survivorship there. And what you would do is add that person a title with you. The second form of concurrent tenancy to think about would be a joint tenancy. And basically, this comes into play in general when you want to have a right of survivorship, but you're not married to the other person. It could be family members. It could be friends that you're taking title with. The third form of concurrent tenancy that we can consider, which would have a right of survivorship, would be a life estate. And in this instance, let's say you wanted to transfer your title to your children, but reserve a life estate for yourself, you'd have the present interest in the property for your lifetime. And then upon your passing, your title would transfer to your children by operational law, no judge necessary, and they would receive title outright at that point. And yet the fourth type of concurrent tenancy that we can consider would be a tenancy in common or tenants in common. And in this instance, there is no right of survivorship. And at that point, if you were to pass away in our example, your proportionate share of the title to the real estate would then pass to your heirs. And your loved ones, your friends would need to approach the probate court in order to receive an order from the court so that they would receive your proportionate share of the title. Keep in mind, folks, that these are just some general concepts that you should consider if you want to add somebody to title. Now, also keep in mind that if you are adding an individual to title, you would need that person's participation in order to do something with the title of your real estate in the future or to remove them from title. Oftentimes I get calls where people are on title and the other individual's refusing to be removed from title. And at that point, the parties, if they do not come to some type of a settlement, will need to go see a judge, typically in the land court if you're in Massachusetts, or in some type of court, in order to petition to partition the title of the real estate. Now, in general, when would you want to add somebody to title of your real estate? Well, if you were purchasing real estate, number one, and you wanted to add your loved one to title with you, you have to be sure to mention that to the bank, to the loan officer or mortgage broker that's actually doing the loan. And in essence, the mortgage broker or loan officer should be aware that the mortgage and the deed must reflect each other. They must mirror one another in order to make sure that the bank's interests are secured. So you would need to make yourself clear to that bank individual as to what you intend your title to look like when you buy it. Another instance might be if you're planning to do a home project and you have another loved one or individual that will be contributing to the home project. And so at that point, you could certainly state percentages of interest on your deed so that everybody understands what their contributions are. And yet another instance in where a person might consider adding another to the title of their real estate is in an estate plan situation. And like I mentioned, with the life estate situation, maybe parents are looking to add the children to title with them. The first thing that I usually ask these people when I sit down to talk with them is whether they have a mortgage on the property. Keep in mind that mortgages have what they call a due-on transfer clause, which means that if you transfer title to your property for any reason, the bank can hold you in default. So if there is a mortgage existing on the property, then that will limit what we can do with the real estate. There are still some things that can be done to add individuals to title. However, in that instance, you have to make sure that you're not violating the terms of your mortgage. Of course, in the estate planning situation, if there is no mortgage on the property, then you're pretty much free to do with your title with you what you wish. And then at that point, it's up to the attorney that you're talking to explain the pros and cons of each option that you have in order to achieve your goal. Now, when you are estate planning, some of the general topics that you should discuss with your estate planning attorney is whether you want a right of survivorship on your property. That would be the first one. Whether there's going to be a step up in the basis at the time of your passing, whether there's a potential capital gain if you decide to sell your property, or whether you are effectively planning for Medicaid down the line. Now, if you're watching me on Facebook, make sure that you like the video. If you're watching me on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe in the lower right-hand corner. Make sure that you check out the video links that I have included inside the description of this video. Dave Ceruolo, CeruoloLaw.com.